Jai Hind, Jai Bharat, and welcome to Dev Talks. This is Aadi. I have with me Sqn Ldr Vijainder Thakur, who will actually tell us about this latest deal which has come across with the Russians. The MiG-29 upgraded engine, and this is very, very interesting because nobody was expecting something like this to actually happen, but suddenly this engine pops up and says, okay, here is a deal happening, and I believe the entire process is also done. So let's try and find out what this deal is all about. What is the components, what is the TOT, and they're saying make in India. So what is happening here? Is this another avenue for another type of engine that India has, or what is happening? Sir, namaskar, welcome to the show, sir. Nice to have you back after a
Jai
while.
Nadi, delighted to be on your show.
Bataiye sir, what's happening here? I mean, suddenly there's another engine on the scene.
Yes, it's like we have had a fair amount of technology transfer on engines from the Russian side, but it's never been complete. One of the reasons why it has never been complete is because of our inability to make materials that go into an engine. And no country in the world would be ready to share with you the materials, the process of manufacturing those materials that go into the engine. So let's backtrack, and it's a very good illustration of the the kind of relationship that we have with Russia as far as defense equipment is concerned. Going back to the 80s, right? I think the MiG-29 fleet, we ordered 40 MiG-29 fighters and some, I think, 4 or 5 trainers way back in 1984.
Hmm.
Very soon after, the US decided to arm Pakistan with F-16s.
Yep.
So at that time, the MiG-29 was the best weapon system that the Soviet Union had, a very good weapon system to counter the F-16. In fact, I'll just sort of recollect my first experience of seeing a MiG-29 maneuver. I had seen the F-69 maneuver in Farnborough when I had gone to pick up Jaguars on a ferry, and it wowed me. On our airfields, we are talking about 82, 83. We had seen our own fighters, Sukhois, MiG maneuver, and they would, when they would stage a mock combat over the airfield, you could see the wide radius of turn, no? And while turning, the aircraft would go miles away and then come back. And then at Farnborough, I saw this F-16 within the fence of the airfield at Farnborough. It was turning. I said, "Wow, this is something amazing." And then I think around 86, 85, we had inducted the MiG-29 at that time. I was an instructor at Air Force Academy, and the MiG-29s came for the passing out parade. They came for a flying demonstration, and then this MiG-29 turned, and it was such a distinct tight turn compared to the F-16. I said, "Wow, now this
ये
is
किसका
something
भी
that
आ गया.
we have that the F-16 is nowhere close to it." So it was a very, very good buy, excellent buy at the right time, and Russia gave us the best that they had, and I'm sure it did its bit to keep the Pakistani Air Force calm and quiet for a long time. So let's now jump ahead to, I think, about 2005. More than 20 years since we first acquired the MiG-29. The Air Force realized that, the MiG-29, 20 years, technology advances. The Russians had, now we're talking about the Russians because the Soviet Union had unraveled by this time.
Hmm.
The Russians had more fuel efficient engines. The MiG-29 has the RD-33 engine. And by that time, the Russians had developed the RD-33 Series 3 engine, which had a better life. primarily it had a life of 4,000, which was unprecedented for a Russian aircraft. Generally, a 4,000-hour life is associated with Western aircraft. So they had sort of come up to the mark as far as engine lives are concerned. And it had better fuel efficiency. So that's the time Russia proposed to HAL that you start manufacturing these new engines at Koraput. So HAL, they negotiated and they signed a contract where HAL would manufacture the Series 3 engines that would replace the existing engines on the 3 squadrons. By the time we had acquired 3 squadrons that the Air Force was operating. One of the reasons why the Russians encouraged HAL to local manufacture this RD-33 Series 3 engine was because they were hopeful of selling their MiG-35, which is a follow-up of or a advanced variant of the MiG-29 to the IAF at that time. This was when MMRCA was being contemplated and the Russians were aware of it. So they said, you start manufacturing this RD-33 Series 3 for the current version that you have. And, eventually the hope was that once you mastered this technology, then by the time we develop a more advanced engine, you would be in a position to manufacture that engine. So get started with this Series 3. And HAL did. HAL, if I'm not mistaken, around 120 or 140 probably RD-33 Series 3 engines they manufactured. And the entire IAF fleet of the MiG-29 was equipped with these Series 3 engines. Now, later on, the Navy bought the MiG-29K and the KUB version, which were the trainer version. Now, see, also shortly after HAL entered into a deal with Russia for manufacturing the Series 3 engine, there was this contract to upgrade the MiG-29. And this, I think, the MiG-29 deal was signed in 2008 or so, and it was supposed to be completed by around 2017, 2012, if I'm not mistaken. It got the MiG-29 upgrade deal was delayed. Instead of happening in by 2012, the upgrade actually finished in 2022. So HAL got busy with the upgrade. The 60 odd MiG-29s the IAF was operating, HAL was busy upgrading those. First few variants were upgraded in Russia, and then the follow-up variants were upgraded by HAL. It was slow work, and HAL slipped badly on its schedule for whatever reason. I'm not privy to those reasons. So by 2022, that was done, and then they realized, we had started manufacturing the Series 3, and with the aim of getting, manufacturing the more advanced engine. And in the meantime, the Navy acquired the MiG-29K, which was actually powered by the more advanced engine. So the next variant of the RD-33 is what powers the MiG-29K and the KUBs that the Navy operates. This is a more advanced engine. It's modular. It is more fuel efficient. It's got emergency power setting, like when the aircraft takes off from the deck, it needs maximum power to facilitate takeoff from the deck without using a catapult. They gave an emergency power setting for the RD-33 engine that allowed it to generate even more power, which was it was good for the Navy, but that engine capability, also it was like very easy to maintain. You could just hook up, like modern engines are. You could hook up a laptop and do a lot of the maintenance on the RD-33 MK. It's the MK variant of the RD-33, if I'm not mistaken. So anyway, we got the MiG-29's case that we got the RD-33 MK fitted manufactured by Russia, because they had moved on. They had gone past the Series 3 engine while HAL was still upgrading the MiG-29s. So what we landed up with is 40 MiG-29K and KUBs with the Navy, which are powered by the MK variant, the most advanced variant. And very soon, like these engines started falling due for overhaul. So HAL entered into a deal with Russia for repair overhaul facility, which Russia agreed to do. So now it appeared logical. Look, we are not getting the MiG-29, MiG-35, but we have the MiG-29 upgrade 60. We have 40 MiG-29Ks. The MiG-29K is already powered by Russian-made MK engines. So why doesn't HAL go ahead with the original plan and start manufacturing the more advanced engines? So this deal that we have signed is for the components and the technology that goes into the more advanced engines. HAL has already been manufacturing the RD-33. It's not something HAL is familiar with most of the things. But the advances that have gone into the engine, this deal says, the way I understand it, it says that HAL will manufacture now 2 engines for each of the IAF MiG-29s, 2 RD-33 MK latest variant engines. And Russia will provide technology transfer for all the new components that are going into the new variant. So we had, see what has happened is we have always had access to Russian technology. But for some reason, we have not capitalized on the access.
That seems like it, yeah.
Yeah, you see the Sukhoi case, we, Indian Air Force has the largest inventory of Sukhoi 30 MKs, right? We have more Sukhoi 30 MKs. Their variant is SM. They have far less SMs than we have the MKs. We have been manufacturing the MK since ages, at least 20 odd years we've been manufacturing the MK. We've been making its engine. But it's like we haven't, till recently, when there was a push by HAL to indigenize maximum components that we were to manufacture locally, most of the components. HAL wasn't even pushing local manufacture. You could, in a way, probably HAL was spread too thin. You had engines, you had, the technology was there if we had negotiated, but we were just too busy with whatever HAL was busy with. I don't want to get into nitpicking on HAL. I really don't know. I don't have access to files. I don't know what happened. But as an observer, what it appears is that for some reason HAL has not capitalized on the technology transfers that took place earlier, and now there is a concerted push on HAL. Okay, you had Russia did promise you the technology transfer for the new variant, so why don't you go ahead and do it? So that is the background. As to how much we will gain, I think it all depends on HAL. There is a tendency, in HAL, with our bureaucrats, even with probably our services, where they don't want to fight and improve the weapon systems that they already have, fight with or improve the weapon systems they already have. They are always craving for new technology, and nobody gives you the new technology with transfer of technology. So, like, the logical process should be you start manufacturing an aircraft. By this time, the Sukhoi 30 MKI should have been a purely Indian aircraft, no? Now, fortunately, HAL is being forced to move towards that. The upgrade of
78% or something right now.
Yeah, but now I think the fact that HAL is going to do the upgrade all by itself with, of course, technical assistance from Russia, it's a very good thing. Now you are taking HAL is coming near to taking ownership of the aircraft. That's what has been lacking for some reason. We have never taken ownership of the MiG-29. We have never taken ownership of the Sukhoi 30. We want Rafale. Nobody's going to give you ownership of Rafale. No? We want new aircraft. It's very difficult. I'm sure there is a logic of the folks in HAL in
Operational
IAF.
logic, again, see, I understand what you're saying. The operational logic may be different, but what you're talking about is a ecosystem development logic, wherein you
Yes,
start
even
basically
operational.
developing your operational logic being apart, whatever it is. But the I understand your point with regards to the developmental ecosystem, which is basically lacking within the country, sir. Is
Yes,
Yeah.
but
Mm.
I would go to the extent of saying even the operational logic. You you fight with what you have.
Absolutely,
It is like,
always.
it is like you have wants, you
Mm.
have necessities. War fighting is about fighting with what you have and making that, improving that, honing your skills on that, honing your sensors, honing your weapon systems for that platform instead of running after new platforms. So maybe there is that also is a factor that comes in where the marketing guys, in the West or even Russia, they get the better of us. That okay, this we've got this new thing. Let's make let's give you this. No, we have had very good weapon systems in our inventory for so long, and we have never really upgraded the weapon systems. Like why is the MiG-29 not carrying the RVV BD long range missile? It's a very difficult question to answer. Okay, you want to make your own? Make your own. Take your time. Make a good long range missile, but don't keep it sort of constrained with short range or medium range missiles. It will not be able to fight the F-16s at all. That's what happened to some extent in post Balakot. No, so I'm just
Major, you're
it's just
absolutely
a
right.
opinion.
You're absolutely right. So when you're saying something like that, because at the end of it, uh, the basic logic of anything would say that what you have, you kind of build on that further. We've come to that realization, I think, a little too late, but there I dosta hai, as they say. Now we see the weapon system BrahMos, which is being really worked on, and I think
Yes.
that sets an example for the industry as well. कि ऐसे करते हैं यार. When you have something, then you make all use of it and put it in every damn thing that you can find, and figure out how you can better it after that.
Another aspect of this deal is the way we have skirted the sanctions issue and the US bullying.
Geopolitics.
We Yeah, what we have said is like we are manufacturing it. So, and Russia has sort of been very willing to do these things. BrahMos, instead of we buying, like they have transferred the technology. Now, when we manufacture and sell BrahMos, Russia also gains. Even when we buy BrahMos, Russia gains because they are an investor in BrahMos Aerospace. Similarly, technology transfers. They are giving the technology to India. We will have to pay Russians, But of course, that's now gone under the radar. So it doesn't appear like we are buying anything from Russia. It appears that HL is making it, and that's probably one of the. It's a good way of doing it. In any case, we should have done it this way. I'm not
Yeah, yeah.
saying this is a good way of evading sanctions. I'm
As
saying
it is, it
this
was
is
a
the way
joint
we should have
effort.
done it.
So yeah, they took what they have, and we took what we have, and we actually just. But the funny thing is, we're just sticking on the BrahMos for another thing. The Russians are asking us for it. They're saying, "Oh, they
Yeah.
don't go. What is the?" Because they have the similar missile. What have we done to it that is making them ask us for this thing?
See, I think it's a manufacturing ability. We have, they have a lot of constraints because they are working in very high gear as far as manufacturing is concerned. So anything, I'm not very sure about the position I doubt India would risk selling BrahMos to Russia. It'll sort of, um, you know, you know what I'm talking about. It's like the US would, I'm sure, raise questions as to
No,
why
the
are you
response has
selling.
been very clear after the war. This was when
Okay.
Lavrov had come, na? So the response
Uh,
was very clear. After the war, we'll figure it out. No problem.
yes. So, like here is one big difference that has taken place in the Russian planning. Russia, there's a presidential decree. I think it was signed in 2012 or 14. I'm not. Don't quote me on the dates. I'm just.
Ji.
It's an approximation where President Putin said nothing that we fight with will be procured from abroad. They have changed that. They're getting stuff from Iran. They're
Yep.
getting stuff from
Iran,
North Korea. They're
North
getting
Korea.
stuff from China. It is high time that India has stepped in. If Russia is not asking for it, we should be selling them. Oh, we'll
Yeah,
give
yeah,
you the
absolutely.
BrahMos because it's commercial. You have to earn money. So
Absolutely, absolutely.
it is something that is working in both ways. So it's also like illustrates the depth and understanding that the two countries have. This kind of a thing. Okay, we don't. Can you give us the technology transfer? It is something that we can only ask from the Russians.
Ji.
So we need to
So,
leverage that.
yeah, yeah. As far the MiG-29 itself is concerned, sir, will this be? I mean, you've just done the upgrade to the aircraft as well, extended range and this and that, avionics and a whole lot of stuff which has been done, which is the Indianized upgrade, UPG as it's called.
Hmm.
What does it do to the aircraft itself? This new engine, does it give it longer range? Does it give it more efficiency? What does it do?
All it gives it. It's got a better SFC, that which means more range, more endurance. So lower fuel consumption per let's say pound or kg of thrust.
Okay. Mm.
So that's basically what SFC is. So you can leverage the improved SFC by through more endurance. You can do loiter for a longer time. You can go further out for a strike mission. So that's one huge advantage. Then turnaround time is reduced.
Sure.
So servicing and fault finding takes very little time because now it's all computerized. Because it is modular, changing, like components, you don't have to unscrew components. You just take out that module and fit a new module. It is
Ah.
a engine that is on par with what the West has currently.
That
So
what does that tell you about Russian technology itself? I mean, have they come to par? Has the Russian technology, which was supposed to be crude and this and that, that's the Western narrative. I personally don't believe it. I find it to be workable, rugged, uh, serves the purpose. Um, have they come to that point where they can now compare themselves quality wise to the Western counterparts?
I would say to a large extent, maybe around 90% or
Oh
95%.
wow, wow!
They're not at par with the West. But here is the deal: Russians, you know, they're
They have
not
their own thing.
seeking the best. In fact, this is one point that a lot of people, defense enthusiasts, miss out on. That firstly, you have to have some weapon system. It is like, let us say I have a long range missile. If the long range missile has a kill probability of 98% or say 95%, let's take be more realistic, or even 90%, and the West has a long kill probability of 92%. Do I say, no, 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 I don't want. When nobody's giving me that 95% type, the better quality, I already have an ecosystem around this. So why would I not buy something which is a little less efficient? I can launch two because the price is much lesser. Russians have mastered what I call asymmetric warfare. They they know that pooled, the Western know-how and money and technology pooled, they can't match it. One country cannot match what Japan can come up with, Germany can come up with,
Yeah, yeah.
France can come up
France,
with,
Germany,
the US
Britain.
can
Yeah,
come
yeah,
up
yeah.
with. It's just not possible.
That's
They
true.
do the next best thing. Okay, we will make something which works reasonably well, and we will make it at a low cost so that we can expend more missiles. So if a if you have to shoot down an aircraft at long range, you can launch four RVVBDs at one go, or two RVVBDs at one go, instead of MRAM. You know, better this thing. I'm not sure. I'm not suggesting that the kill probability is different.
But yeah,
I
I get the
personally
point,
feel,
sir.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I
That's a
personally
very
feel the
interesting
kill
point.
probabilities of Russian missiles, especially in there are some technologies where they are very good.
Hmm.
Missiles is one area where they're very good. They have proven it in the Ukraine war, and so it's their long range missile is one critical factor in keeping maintaining air superiority, at least over the battlefield area.
So this is very interesting, sir. Thank you so much for taking out the time. I wanted to actually request you, we could actually, the next time when we do a podcast, we could talk about the reuse of older missiles that the Indian Air Force has just displayed, Indian Armed Forces in the Vayu Shakti display. That was very, very interesting. In R-73, the kind of turn it took, a lot of people were quite amazed. Yeah, ye kya hua? So we could probably
Yes.
talk about that repurposing of old equipment to kind of create something new. And a lot of people, I read the reviews written about that weapon system by a lot of people. A lot of people were very impressed by its capability. It was quick, it was fast, and it maneuvered really well, and it was able to do what it was made to do. So probably the next time we could talk about that a little bit, and that'll be really, really interesting and important for us to know, sir. Till then, sir, thank you so much, and welcome back to the show after a while, after a gap, and hope we stay tuned and learn more from you. Thank you so much. Jai Hind.
Jai Hind, Adi, always delighted to be on your show. Look forward to the next episode.
Thank you, sir.